Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Credit Chat Snuggle Time 57. Thanks for joining. Welcome to 2020. Happy New Year, everybody. Hope you had a great holiday season and time off. I spent a couple of great weeks with my family and friends, and I'm happy to be back and excited for the new year and to talk about. Now is a perfect time to talk about credit reports and credit scores and fraud and ID theft. Ms. ZD4, great to see you. Welcome to Credit Chat once again and to another year. Really exciting. I think it's going to be a great year and a great time sharing information with one another and answering questions and helping people do better. So, Shu, please, thanks for joining. Do I know Joe? I know a number of Joes, probably not the one you're talking about. Ramon Cortez Gal, too, thanks for joining. I'm Rod Griffin. I'm Director of Consumer Education and Advocacy for Experian. I'm here to answer your questions about fraud, identity theft, credit reports, credit scores, all of those things that are important to you. And Joe Mama, cha-ching, yeah, not such a great joke, but good try. It's a start for the year. Peaches 72, thanks for joining. Poker Fastlane, thanks for being here. If you have questions about any of the things that Experian can help with that I might have answers to, I'll do my very best to answer. So things like, as I said, credit reporting, credit scoring, fraud and ID theft. Right now, we're all making our New Year's resolutions, and financial resolutions are always among them. Solis and Nayavon, I'm sorry, Navi, I'm trying, credit scores. And, we can talk about what they are, what they do, how they work. Samasari, watching from Dulles, Virginia, thanks for being here. Terrell Carey, thanks for joining. Ollie Lewis, 14, how can I save money when, bad question, can't help stupid. Don't buy heroin, save money, pay off your credit card bills, and have a much better, longer, healthier, happier life. Best answer I got for you there. Want to buy a house. And that's so time and savings, lots of things go into buying a house. If you are looking at home, get pre-screened or pre-qualified or pre-approved so that you can know what you can afford and what your credit history will support for you. That's sort of step one. Once you've done that, get your credit report, know what's in it, get your credit scores. You can do that for free. Someone just asked if I can find it. Our boost scores, Poker Fastlane, our boost scores used in lending decisions. They are. When we talk about Experian Boost, if you're not familiar with Boost yet, it's been out now about 9 months. Experian Boost lets you give us permission to capture your utility payments and your cell phone payments, your cable TV payments, so utility and telecom on-time payment information from your bank account that you pay it from each month and add it as an account payment to your credit report, or add each of them so you can have multiple utilities, your cell phone, and so on. They'll boost your credit scores. It does affect lending decisions, not as much mortgages at this point. So any scoring system that Boost is fed into, though that information is fed into, will score will affect that lending decision. We're seeing people see scores on average increase somewhere around 13 points. And if you have thin file or short credit history, fewer than 5 accounts, we're seeing actually an average of a 19-point increase. So they do affect lending decisions, most of them, and most credit scores. So it can be really positive. You can learn more about Experian Boost at experian.com/boost. And learn how to do that. So really simple to do. It's free. You get a free FICO 8 score when you start and another score when you finish the process of enrolling, so that you can see the difference it makes. So really good tool. We're getting really good feedback about it and continue to. How can you obtain a credit report? So Peaches 72, couple of ways. One, you can get a free report every 12 months. At annualcreditreport.com, www.annualcreditreport.com. That's the free site under federal law. So you get a free report there from each of the national credit reporting companies. You can also get a free report if you go to Experian's app. If you are declined or have what we call adverse action taken, you don't get the best terms or rates when you apply. The lender has to give you instructions on how to get a copy of the report that they used from the company they used, so that you can get a free copy that way. So a number of ways to get free reports. If you subscribe to a monitoring service, or if there's been a data breach, for example, and you enroll in a monitoring service for free, you may be able to get unlimited access to your reports. But the annual report, annualcreditreport.com, is the free annual report. So you can go there very easily and get that free report, one from Experian, one from TransUnion, one from Equifax. Jampam, Happy New Year. Great to see you. Thanks for joining Credit Chat. What percentage of decisions, because it's only FICO 9 via Experian, right? So no mortgage. It's FICO 8 scores. Mortgage lending, the boost data doesn't yet feed into, so it doesn't affect mortgage scores at this point. That could change, and there's actually been some movement. I mean, it was Freddie Mac's, the head of Freddie Mac has said they will now accept, or Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, one or the other, said that they would now start to accept scores, other kinds of scores, other scores, other than just a specific FICO score they've been using. So in time, I think that's going to change. The thing that it can help you do, though, is even if it's a FICO 8 score, it can help you build your other credit history. So if you're just starting out, what we're seeing it help with is people who have particularly thin credit files, so fewer than 5 accounts. So if they're trying to build their history, helps them qualify for better terms, better rates, get their history more established, add an account, for example, and build that history, which can then lead into other scores and improved scores as well. So it's not just an instant thing, it takes time as well. But you're right there. What's the best approach to pay off student loan debt? X, real good girl, X. A little at a time was my approach. So I've been there, done that, and it's just one step at a time. Making those payments on time every single time, just like any other loan, and eventually you'll be able to get them paid off. As you pay a student loan and you reduce those debts, you show that you're a good credit risk, that you manage that debt well. It will help your scores just like any other loan will. Keep in mind, and I look at student loan numbers, and there are people who do have a student loan crisis. I'm kind of a contrarian in some cases. When people tell me, I can't afford my student loans, and I ask them, well, what kind of car do you drive? Our auto loan debt information from Experian shows that the average auto loan payment in the U.S. is higher than the average student loan payment. And I tell people, no one has ever complained to me about their auto loan payments being too high. So we seem to manage that. So average auto loan payments today for new cars is a little over $500 a month. Average student loan payments a little over $300 a month. So look at what your other debts are. Maybe make some changes in your lifestyle. Talk to a good credit counselor. Ask them for guidance and insight. They may be able to help with how to manage your other finances as a whole, help you budget, those sorts of things. And help you pay off those debts. Also work with your student lenders. I did that. I went through that whole thing when I graduated from college. I have a journalism degree. Went to work at a small daily newspaper, one of the greatest experiences of my life. But I calculated at one point I was making $2.50 an hour for the first about 3 years of my career. And I worked with my student lenders for hardship deferment, for forbearance, and then and eventually consolidated my student loans, but continue to find ways to pay them. So work with them because they want you to be able to pay those debts over time, and make sure that they get paid off, and that can help protect your credit history. So get help. Don't be afraid. I can tell you from experience, I struggled with them as well. And I had today's average student loan debt when I graduated from college in 1991. So that was a long time ago. So it can be done. And my first job, as I said, I was paid $13,000 a year before taxes and deductions. So can be done. Boost doesn't work when you pay all your utility bills with your credit card. Cheryl Carey, correct. You need to make those payments through your checking account or savings account and be able to link to it. I actually had that issue too. So I paid with a credit card to get points and things, and so it didn't show in my bank account. So if you pay the utility through a checking account or savings account, what we do is we go in, find the name of that utility to tell us that you're paying through that bank account, so we can capture that payment each month and pull it in. And we work with a company called Finicity to do that. So Experian doesn't actually go directly into your account either. It's a company called Finicity that then shares that information, and we add that payment to your credit history. Experian notified you that your ULTA card limit was increased. I didn't ask for it. I called them. Well, Jetty7777, Experian wouldn't notify you of a credit card increase unless it's at least not directly. The credit card company should notify you of that. If they do, if you have our monitoring service, we may send you an alert saying something's changed in your credit history, and that may have been the change. So be aware of that. So if someone said it's Experian and we've changed your credit card, Experian doesn't do that, doesn't change people's credit card. So make sure it's legitimate and not a fraudulent claim if it's a monitoring service. And I've seen that alert. And the one perk I get is I get the subscription to our monitoring service through Experian, and I've had that alert that something's changed in my report, and they've changed my credit limit, so increased. What I would say is, if they increase your credit limit, if the lender does proactively, don't worry about it. That's a good thing generally. Doesn't mean you have to charge to the limit. So if they increase your credit limit, that will typically reduce your utilization rate as a whole, and that's a positive. And so if they're doing that automatically, that can be beneficial to you, actually, into your score. So if they increase your limit, I wouldn't worry about it. Be happy. It means you're managing the accounts well, you're doing what you need to do, and they're making and it's actually benefiting you. So be aware of that. You don't have to ask for a credit limit increase. Often they'll do that because they want you to use your account, and that's a positive. So don't worry. I wouldn't worry about that. If you've talked to your credit card company and they said, yes, we did, and we did it proactively, that's fine. And they will do that from time to time, especially if they're trying to get you to use your account and make charges, but you don't have to. That's one of my personal financial resolutions for the new year, is to practice saying no more. So no is the most powerful word in credit, and building good credit history. Say no to things. You don't have to apply. If you get a pre-approved offer, you can say no. You don't have to accept it. That impulse buy, say no. They can help manage your utilization rate. So no, that little 2-letter word is sometimes the hardest one to say. Lucas Dupuis, 87, thanks for joining and being here. Darlene Taylor B, thanks for being here. If you're just joining, I'm Rod Griffin. I'm Director of Consumer Education and Advocacy for Experian. This is Credit Chat. I try to be here every Tuesday and Thursday. Been away over the holidays and spending time with my family and friends, and having a wonderful time. So I hope everybody else did too. Welcome to the new year, and excited to get started. But I'm here to answer your questions about credit reporting, credit scoring, fraud and ID theft, all of those kinds of things that you might be interested in or need to know more about to improve your financial health and well-being. So that's what we want to do. How do I settle an account with Capital One? I've been trying to do so for. Well, I can't really speak to a specific lender, and anytime you're working with a lender, contact them, talk to them. It will depend on your specific situation. Everybody's a bit different. The way that lenders work with their customers is different. So you'd have to talk to them. It's their decision. You maybe work with someone like the NFCC, National Foundation for Credit Counseling, nfcc.org. They are a great nonprofit credit counseling organization. They have member organizations all around the country. They can help you with your personal finances overall. They may be able to work with your lenders as well, depending on your situation. They'll ask you to work with them on how you manage your overall personal finances. One thing to know is that if you go to NFCC, their members will not immediately say, we'll put you on a debt management plan. They're going to want to see where you are financially, help you identify other ways to pay those debts, because they want to help you manage your finances better, help protect that credit history and the credit score, and then go to the debt management and debt settlement side of things last, because that should be a last resort. It will hurt your credit history, it will hurt your credit scores, because the accounts will be reported as settled in most cases. So if you can find ways to pay those things on time, that's better. So if you're working with a good credit counseling service, they're going to work with you on everything else first to see where you are and what your options are and how you can move forward. And then they'll work with lenders and others. So just be aware of that. If a company changes the date on an account, became delinquent or closed, what can you do to change the date? So Semisari, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. If the most important date on your credit report is what we call the original delinquency date. That's the date the account or the debt first became late and was never again current. So if you have an account, you missed your first payment this month, that will become the original delinquency date. If you never catch up again, the account's charged off as a loss, it's sold to a collection agency. That date cannot change. So the original delinquency date has to stay the same, and it has to be carried over by the collection agency. That's a matter of federal law. And so they can't change that date. That's what drives when information is deleted. So it's 7 years from that date. Things like most recent payment date, most recent update date, there are lots of dates in a credit report. None of them have anything to do with when information is deleted. So if they're changing that delinquency date, dispute it with us. So go to experian.com/dispute and tell us that they've changed that original delinquency date. If you have documentation that shows like a billing statement from the original account, that sort of thing, send that along with your dispute. You can upload it through our system. It's totally free, doesn't affect your credit scores in any way. Go to experian.com/dispute. We'll give you a free report if you don't already have one, so you have a current report to see what's showing in that report for that account. And you just click dispute, and you can enter that dispute, upload that information. We'll go to the source of the information and say, hey, something's changed. So if it's a collection agency, go to that collection. It would go to the collection agency because they are now the legal owner of the debt. If that's who's changed the date, or to the original account owner if that's who still owns the account. So that's what would happen there. But absolutely dispute it. And if you have documentation, things like billing statements or letters that show that date, upload those and we'll be able to take action. If companies are changing the original delinquency date, we want to know about it too, because that violates our policies and it violates the law. So we're going to make sure that we take action in that case. How do I add my utilities to your report? So that's Experian Boost. Darling Taylor B, if you go to Experian.com, www.experian.com/boost, you can give us permission to access the checking account or savings account that you pay your utility bills through, so natural gas, water, electricity, as well as your cell phone payment or even your cable television payments through, and tell us which accounts that you're paid. So it's the gas company, the electric company, and give us permission to go in each month. We'll capture that payment, put it in your report as an account, essentially. And so that information shows that you're paying those accounts positively. So it's only positive information and can help boost your credit score. We will go back as far as 24 months initially, so you can have 2 years of payment history added right away to the report. And we'll do that for each account that you tell us you want to add. When you're first enrolling, we may say, hey, we found some other payments as part of that first review that you could add, and you can tell us, yes, I want to, or no, I don't. And if you change your mind, you can tell us, I want you to stop. So it's totally in your control, and it's your choice, and it's absolutely free. So I'm really excited, and we've been excited and we're hearing great reviews and response from people about how Boost works. We'll also give you a free FICO 8 score and your credit report when you start, so you'll be able to see what the change is as a result. So that's how you do that. Recent graduate, so I have less than 5 months before payments begin. X, real good girl, X. Good luck. I know how that feels. So huge challenge. But good luck with that. Good news is these days it's a pretty strong job market. And if you're planning ahead, you'll be able to get ready. Congratulations on graduating and moving into the workforce. Welcome to independent adulthood, I think. I still have my days where I wonder, but generally it's a good thing. Almighty $1. Yeah, question mark. Missed part of the question. But feel free to ask if you have questions about credit reporting, credit scoring, fraud and ID theft. Please feel free to ask. It's monitoring. Actually, Experian Boost is not a monitoring service. It's actually capturing a payment, just like we get payments from lenders each month. So we're not monitoring your checking account or savings account. You're just saying, hey, I want to pay my electric bill is paid through this account. Each month I'm giving you permission to catch that payment and put it in the report as a positive payment with that electric account entry. So we're not monitoring your history, you're not, and those sorts of things, but you do enroll. And so that's part of the process. But Boost is looking at those accounts. Why can't I log in if I change your email address? I'm not sure. Apparently the account's tied to your email address. You'll need to go into your log information. That may be your username, and you may need to change that. I'm not sure. Paying utilities increases FICO score. With Experian, it does if you add them through Experian Boost. So that's the first time it's ever been done. It's the first time that a credit reporting company like Experian has actually given people choice to add positive information and control over adding that information. So really a change in the way that we've done anything in the past, and completely different than anything our competitors have ever done. So really excited about that. Do plus loans for schools ding your credit? Potentially. They have to be reported. So if you get your credit report, you'll be able to see them reported in your account. The thing to know about any student loan is that it can be confusing. When you apply for student loans, you typically get a loan for each semester. So even though you may be making one payment after 4 years of school, you might see 8 smaller student loans in your report because you get a new loan each semester if it's a semester-based school where there's 2 semesters a year. So you can see 8 loans, small loans, and you're making one payment. So be aware of that. Don't panic if you get your credit report and you see multiple loans and you're saying, hey, I only have one student loan. We have multiple loans to the same lender typically. And so you may see 8. It's actually, you're making one payment for them, but they represent that semester loan each semester. So be aware of that. It can be a little confusing. Profits Mandate, thanks for joining. Mike B86, thanks for joining. There are accounts on the report that I have no idea how or when those accounts were open. And you've disputed those accounts, but Equifax TransUnion wouldn't do anything. So they're saying that they belong to you. They're active, open accounts. If you don't know when they were open or how, but do you have access to them, I guess is the first question. If they're showing that they're open, you can contact the lender. Your credit report should show contact information for the lenders for each of those accounts. You might contact them and ask them to close the accounts or dispute them as fraudulent if they don't belong to you. And if they are fraudulent, especially if there's balances, you can file a police report, a fraud report, and add a victim statement to your report. We can begin to proactively suppress them. So there are ways to address those issues if they're fraudulent accounts especially. But if you aren't concerned about them being fraud, notify the lenders. As I said, we usually have either a mailing address or telephone number or both with your personal credit report. Contact them and let them know that's not your account or that you want to close that account, and they should be able to assist you in that. Don't want credit. Why should Experian have my details? For instance, electoral roll. Okay, so we do not have electoral roll information in the U.S. So Experian North America, where I work, your credit reports remain in the U.S. They never leave our country. We do not share credit histories across national boundaries. If you live in the U.K., one of their key identifiers is electoral rolls. And so that's part of their identification process. You'll need to speak to the folks in the UK about how that works because our credit reporting systems are completely different from one country to another. We don't across national boundaries. We don't have electoral information in the US. If you were to go to South Africa or Brazil or to Australia, where Experian also has credit reporting systems, they're all different. They're all operated separately, and those, as I said, those reports don't cross national boundaries. So the information in them can differ depending on the laws of that country and the way credit reporting works in those countries. In the U.S., we don't have electoral roll information. We have we have identifying information that's provided by you as part of your application. About 220 million people with credit reports in the U.S. So we need to identify you. Not everybody has a unique name. We share names. There are other Rod Griffins out there, for example. So having my name, my address, my social security number, my date of birth, my previous addresses, and so on will be part of that report, so that we can match your identity and compile an accurate, complete report. So that's what that's about. And my understanding is in the UK, the electoral rolls act similarly to social security numbers in the US. It's a key identifier. But that's the laws and the way the system works there. And that's all I really know about that. So check with the folks in the UK that we don't in the US. I can tell you that our CEO in North America came from the UK, and when he did, he had to start all over again with his credit report at Experian because we don't transfer those reports across national boundaries. So good news there. So Mike BA86, thanks for joining. Jambu86, thanks for being here. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'll do my very best to answer. I'm Rod Griffin. I'm Director of Consumer Education and Advocacy for Experian, and this is Credit Chat. And we could debate that in terms of credit reporting, credit scoring. You do not have to have a credit history. You can choose not to use credit, live a full cash existence, and not have a credit history. And that's entirely up to you. Most of us find credit reports beneficial because it helps us qualify for things like buying a home that we would never be able to with with cash, because we couldn't save that much. We are able to qualify for better financial tools and resources. It opens financial doors. Your credit report's fully transparent. You can get a copy. You can see what's there. You can dispute that information. You can work with us. You can send documentation, all of those sorts of things. So it's very transparent, and it helps lenders manage risk. It helps businesses manage risk so that they actually can offer credit at lower cost than anywhere else in the world. So from a financial perspective, it's, I think, beneficial, and most people understand that. We want you to engage in the process. We want you to know what's in that report. We want you to get the report every year. Fewer than half of people who are qualified or eligible for a free report actually ask for the free report every year. So the more people who get their reports and know what's in it, become part of that process, the better. And you can use it as a financial tool, and that's what we want people to do. Hugely important. Ms. ED4, thank you so much. I mean, I always enjoy the conversations, and having different perspectives is interesting, and something we're talking about. And understanding how things work and what we do and how that information is shared and why it's helpful. Credit reporting in the U.S. helps drive one of the strongest economies in the world. Credit and access to financial services is cheaper here than almost any place else in the world, in large part because of our credit reporting systems. So, understanding that is important. A lot of people don't understand how they work, have misperceptions about how things work, like asking, and understand that, if it's, thinking that electoral roll information is part of a credit report. In the U.S., it's not. So it's just understanding is hugely important. Having conversation is important. That's why I enjoy this so much. Welcome from Colombia, and for being here today. I'm Rod Griffin. I'm Director of Consumer Education and Advocacy for Experian in North America, and this is Credit Chat. I try to be here Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1:30 Central, 2:30 Eastern, to answer your questions about credit reports and credit scores, fraud and identity theft, and so on. Anything that we might touch on that I might be able to help with. I love getting your feedback, sharing information with one another. I do share information with our leadership and within our company, so it helps advise us and guide us and inform us and educate us as well about issues and concerns and things that you might need help with, and help us provide better service. So I think it's really important, but it also, I hope, helps all of you make better decisions, use that credit report as a financial tool, understand scores better, how they impact life. It's linked to a lot of things: car loans, insurance, all of those, personal credit, qualifying for apartment leases, utilities. Will use the information from credit reports. So very important, and so important for people to engage with. And we don't do a good enough job in reaching out to people. That's my perspective about our industry as a whole. We need to do a much better job of having conversations like these, because I think it helps us as a company and as an industry. It helps you as a consumer who can benefit from that information and understand it better and use it to your advantage. We want people to be able to get the credit they need, the services they need and want when they request it. We want to help lenders connect you to those services. We don't want to be a barrier. We want to be an organization that can help facilitate those transactions, because that helps everybody get what they need. And so at the same time, sometimes no is the right answer. If a person has more debt than they can manage and won't be able to make payments on time, and it's hard to say no for yourself. Sometimes no is the right answer. We never like to hear it. None of us do. But sometimes it's the right answer. So I'm kind of scrolling down just to see if I missed anything. Great start for 2020. I've got another minute or so. Whoops. It flipped me over. There we go. Went to the other camera. But you just saw on the screen our credit chat information every Wednesday, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern. We have a Twitter chat we've never missed. I missed yesterday, but I think my colleague Michael Delgado was on for sure, and his team on New Year's Day, and talking about financial resolutions. And every Wednesday, 2 o'clock Central, 3 Eastern on Twitter, we have great guests who talk about lots of personal finance issues, not just credit. So we hope to see you there. And I'm trying to be here 1:30 Central, 2:30 Eastern, Tuesdays and Thursdays on Periscope on Credit Chat to answer your questions, to have a great dialogue, and have that conversation. I think it's really important and informative for me. Can you state the days and times you're here again? Sure. Again, I'm here 1:30 Central, 2:30 Eastern on Periscope. You can see us on Twitter and join the conversation there. 2 o'clock Central, 3 Eastern on Wednesdays. You can learn more at ex.pn/credit chat, to ex.pn/credit chat. So another one, if your pre-approval runs out for auto financing and you have to apply again, does it negatively affect your score? So if it runs out, your pre-approval runs out, you'll have to reapply. They will get your report again. Could affect scores. However, when you're talking about auto lending, so buying a car, the scoring systems recognize you're applying for an auto loan, and so you will see every one of those inquiries on your credit report. Typically within a 30-day period, the scores will only count them as one inquiry, or in the newest scores like FICO 8, FICO 9 will exclude them completely, so they won't count at all. So even if you have to reapply, the inquiries will have a very minimal effect, if any at all, to begin with, and the new application isn't going to affect your scores very much either, so if at all. So don't worry about that. I always tell people, I don't worry about inquiries. Most of us don't have many. I worry about all of the other things. If you're paying your bills on time, you're keeping your credit card balances low, you're not carrying too much debt, those inquiries aren't going to matter. It's those things are going to be by far the most important. So yeah, in that case, not so much to worry about. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you all for being part of the chat and continuing into 2020. I can't believe it's already 2020, and hope you're all having a happy start to your new year, and I hope it's a prosperous, exciting, fun, and joyous one. Take care, everybody, and I'll talk to you all again very soon.